Now on to the U.S. President Donald Trump trying to distance himself from racist chants at his campaign rally just one day ago. The crowd in North Carolina shouting, "Send her back," when he mentioned progressive Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Let's talk more about this now with Peter Mathews. Peter, a professor of political science at Cypress College, joining this hour from Los Angeles. Good to have you.
Good to be here, George.
Peter, Mr. Trump saying that he wasn't happy with the chant, just as the crowd was there echoing at what seems to be, clearly, Mr. Trump's own words.
Absolutely. In fact, he waited for 13 seconds to continue talking so they could become more egregious and scream and yell about these things. He did it on purpose, and he's denying it right now because I know what his game is, basically. It's to portray the policies of these four progressive congresswomen to be un-American, as he says they are, because they're from a minority ethnicity. And it is just outrageous because, you know, I was born in India, George, and I was 10 years old. My family brought me to America, and I feel just as American as anyone else. And I think just because we're born somewhere else, we should not be silenced to make constructive criticism of the United States policies and the president's policies to make the country better. It's actually a form of patriotism. And he's going after these women in an opposite way to stir up his political base, mostly these people, you know, who are racist in many ways, most of them are, and they want him to win. He wants to get their vote back again. He's afraid he can't win any other way.
So the president, you point out the number, 13 seconds. So President Trump saying that he stepped in quickly when the chant started. So let's look at the tape, Peter. Let's play it all out. Draw your own conclusions about whether the president liked it or not, and let's count together. Here we go.
Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds. Nancy
13 seconds, Peter. Doesn't really look like the president didn't like it up there on stage. Seems like he really enjoyed it.
He loved it, and he was waiting on purpose so they could continue that and make a point that he agrees with them. And this is completely unacceptable, George, in democracy, because a democracy like ours flourishes on freedom of expression, and everyone's ideas should be allowed to be spoken. And just John Stuart Mill said, the marketplace of ideas, that's what makes the country great, and the best ideas will be chosen. But Trump is trying to silence a very legitimate group of people of thinking, of progressivism on the left, maybe on the left to some extent, but it's very mainstream because they support the universal single-payer system of health care. They support regulation of big banks. They support immigration that's humane and will be humanistic and allow people to come here and work properly and not be vilified and put kids in cages. These women have been speaking on what America actually stands for, and he's been going after them viciously. It's very wrong, very wrong. And America's speaking out against him.
We saw our Randy Kay interviews, a group of women in Dallas, Texas, who claimed they didn't quite see racism in the president's tweets. Some people don't see it. Some people who can't deny that it's clear as day. It's been described by one pundit, a campaign rooted in racism. Are we getting a look at the formula the president may use going into 2020?
Absolutely. It looks like it's a precursor to what he's going to do throughout the next year and a half to stir up that base of his, which is so small already. It's 37% that want him reelected, that he wants to be able to make sure all of them show up, and he wants to make sure he can get even more of them, their friends and relatives, to come out as well. And that may not be good enough for him. I think the American people are now uniting against his rhetoric, against his racism and neo-fascism in some ways. Some scholars have talked about that, moving toward a fascistic tendency of suppressing dissent, of criticizing your opponents and vilifying them ad hominem arguments against the person, not against the actual argument. This is a signal of what happens in fascist countries, ones that turn that extreme. We may be on the way toward that unless we all get really aware of this and try to stop this movement by speaking out.
It does seem that we're following sort of the aftermath, the reaction to those tweets. And, you know, it's not a matter of right or left. It's a matter of right and wrong. And looks like a duck, quacks like a duck might be racism. Peter Mathews, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.